Hey everybody, and welcome back to Planet Build. And thanks for tuning in for part 13 of Moderno Tropicano. Today we will be working on the sea lion habitat, and we're also going to start creating a new area which includes 5 new habitats. We have ended the last video building the front side of the centerpiece with the waterfall. And now it's time to create the habitat for the sea lion. I want it to look quite similar than the front side of the centerpiece. But I wanted to add some foliage that maybe refers to a sea lion habitat. So I'm probably going to use some other trees, some other foliage than I used in the front part of the centerpiece. And I also wanted to create a small area in the front side of this habitat in front of the stage that we built or actually placed in the last video, just to make it look like there could be an actual sea lion show in here. And I also added, for the guests, I added some panorama viewing points and some areas where the staff could educate the people about the sea lions. Once this habitat is finished, I'm going to add some foliage to the outside of the habitat. I'm not going to completely finish the area outside of this stage, outside of this habitat. I'm going to start working on the next area because they're close to each other. So when both areas are ready, so the next area and also this habitat, I'm going to fill up this side in between those two areas. And as I mentioned before, I wanted to add some different foliage to this habitat than I did to the one with the monkeys in the front of the centerpiece. For this area I wanted to make it look more like a beach vibe habitat. So once this habitat is finished, it is time to start working on some foliage on the outside of the habitat. As I mentioned before, I'm going to finish this later in my other videos. So I'm just simply adding some bushes and some trees just to cover it up. I'm not quite sure what to do with the left side of this area. If you stand in front of the habitat, the right side will be a new area with 5 new habitats, but I'm not quite sure what to do with the left side of this area. I'm probably going to put in some more aquatic animals just to make it a area for aquatic animals. As for the next area of this park, I experimented a lot with how I'm going to create a new area and what my inspiration would be. And as I mentioned before in the other video where we were building the restaurant, I don't like to work with round shapes, but I do like a big combination of round shapes together with some height elevation. So I searched up some pictures online and I experimented a lot offline just to figure out how to make this work. So what we're going to do is we're going to create 5 habitats, and above those habitats we're going to create some sort of elevation with different areas that will be filled up with foliage. And I experimented a lot with mostly the pathwork, because there's going to be pathwork underneath the elevated planters, and because I don't want them to be inside and I want it to be easy for the staff to just go underneath instead of going through the whole section. So that was the first thing I did, is I placed 5 habitats and I connected those habitats to a path for the staff. And once the habitats are in place, it is time to start working on the pathwork for the guests. I wanted to create a lot of round shapes, so I also did a lot of experimenting on how to create those round shapes and also elevate. So what I did is I created a lot of circles and then added one stair to reach one level higher, and then make another pathwork with another circle. And I wanted to make 3 levels because on the top level, there will be the 3rd level, I wanted to create a shopping slash dining area, and that will be on top of the hill. And as you can see, I'm using different sizes of circles just to give it a little bit more diversity. And I think that adds in perfectly with the 3 different levels that I'm building in. So once the pathwork is done and the habitats are in place, I did some preparation on making some round shapes that perfectly fit all the circles that I made. And I did that off screen because it's just a lot of work and I don't want to bother you guys with 4 hour of footage, just me making circle shaped items to fit in those circles. So what I'm going to do with this area is I'm going to fill each gap between each circle, and the only open space in this area will be those 5 habitats. And as I said before, I did a lot of preparation work for this area. I made a lot of pieces that could fill up those gaps, and that's something I'm going to do next. But also, as I said before, I don't want to bother you guys with 4 or 5 hours of footage. So I'm going to skip a part where I added all those walls and all those borders to the paths, and you're going to see the end result in an instant. And that is how the magic works. So that's 4 or 5 hours of work just adding in those borders and those walls. And that's probably the thing that I don't like about all those round shapes, is that you have to put in, you can copy a lot of things, and mostly the things that are similar in size, but not everything was similar in size in this area. So it was quite a work to put in all this stuff. And then the only thing left to do in this area is to add all those spaces with plants, foliage, and things like that. And I'm going to use different ones than I used in the other areas of the park. And once the filling up of all those gaps is finished, but that will be probably next video, I'm going to add the restaurant on top of this area, and we're going to put in 5 animals in those habitats. And I'm not quite sure what animals to put in those habitats. It has to be an animal which suits about 400 to 500 square meters each habitat. So it will be probably some small animals. Once we're going to the end of the video, I'm actually quite happy the way it turned out. As I said, it was a lot of work to put in those walls and make it look like one big piece. But I think it turned out quite good, and the height elevation, I love the height elevation in this area, and I also like the different textures I used in the walls. But we're going to make it look better in the next video. As I said before, this will be the part where the shopping area / restaurant will be built on top, and we will be adding some animals. So for now, I want to thank you guys for watching part 13 of Moderno Tropicano. I can't wait to see you guys in part 14, where we're going to put in more detail to this area. And as usual, I added some highlights of today's video. I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.